My name is Maria. I'm 26 years old. I work as a housekeeper in a big house. The house is really big. It has 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. There's a garden, a pool, and a tall gate. I clean the rooms. I wash the clothes. I cook breakfast every morning. The house belongs to Mr. Daniel. He's a rich man. He owns a big company. He wears fancy suits. He drives a black car. He's 34 years old. He lives by himself. He's quiet. He doesn't talk much, but he's not mean. He always says good morning. He always says thank you. That's it. When I first started working there, I was so nervous. I'd never worked in such a huge house before. My clothes were plain. My shoes were worn out. I came from a small town. I never went to college. I really needed this job. My mom was sick. I had to send money home. Every day I cleaned the kitchen and made his tea. Mr. Daniel liked his tea with no sugar. He liked eggs and toast in the morning. He always left for work at 8 in the morning. He came back home at 6 in the evening. I made dinner. Then I cleaned the dishes. I stayed in a small room near the kitchen. It was quiet and simple. One evening, it started raining. There was thunder. There was strong wind. I was cleaning the floor when the lights went out. I froze. I was scared of the dark. I didn't know what to do. Then I heard his voice. "Maria, are you okay?" he asked. I said, "Yes, just surprised." He brought a candle to the kitchen. He stood next to me. I saw his face in the candlelight. He looked different. He looked kind. He said, "Sit down. I'll bring tea." I was shocked. "Sir, I can do it," I said. But he smiled. "You're always working. You can rest tonight." He made tea. He gave me a cup. I held it with both hands. It felt warm. I didn't speak much. I just said, "Thank you." He said, "You don't talk much. Why?" I looked down. "Because I'm the housekeeper," I said. He looked at me. His eyes were soft. "But you're also a person," he said. No one had ever said that to me before. I wanted to cry, but I held it in. That night, we sat in silence. The candle burned between us. After that night, something changed. Mr. Daniel started talking more. He asked me questions. "Where are you from? Do you have brothers or sisters? What do you like to do?" I told him little things. I said I liked to paint. I said I used to draw flowers when I was a kid. I told him about my mom and how she got sick. He listened. One day he came home with a small gift. It was a sketchbook and some pencils. "I remembered you said you liked to draw," he said. I held the book in my hands. I didn't know what to say. "Thank you," I whispered. That night, I drew a rose. The next morning, I left the drawing on the kitchen table. When I came back, there was a note. "It's beautiful," he wrote. I started feeling something. I don't know what it was, but I began to smile more. I cleaned with music on. I painted in the evening. Sometimes he watched me from the doorway. I felt shy, but also warm inside. No one had looked at me like that before. One weekend he asked, "Do you want to come with me to the bookstore?" I looked surprised. "Me?" I asked. He smiled. "Yes, you." I wore my best dress. It was old but clean. I brushed my hair. I put on light lipstick. We walked together. People looked at us, a rich man and his housekeeper. I felt small, but he walked next to me like I was someone important. In the bookstore, he asked me to pick any book I liked. I chose a small book about flowers. He paid for it. He handed it to me with care. On the way home, he said, "You're not just a housekeeper, Maria. You're kind, you're gentle, and you're strong." I didn't speak. I just looked out the window and smiled, but not everything was perfect. One morning, his aunt came to visit. She was tall, rich and very cold. She looked at me and frowned. "Who is this?" she asked. "This is Maria. She works here," Daniel said. The woman looked at me from head to toe. "You let the help sit in the garden?" she asked. Daniel said, "Yes, she can sit where she wants." But I felt shame. I stood up. I went inside. That evening I cried in my room. I didn't belong in his world. Daniel knocked on my door. "Don't cry," he said. "She doesn't know you." I said, "She's right. I'm just the housekeeper." He stepped inside. "Maria, listen to me. You're not just anything. You're more than this job. I see you." His words were soft but strong. I looked at him. "Why are you kind to me?" I asked. He smiled. "Because I like you." My heart stopped for a second. "But I'm no one," I said. He shook his head. "You are someone. You're the one I think about when I'm at work. You're the one I wait to see when I come home." I didn't know what to say. My hands were shaking. He touched my hand gently. "Let's take things slow. But please don't say you're no one. You're everything to me." That night I didn't sleep. My heart was full but also scared. Could a housekeeper fall? In love with a rich man? Could he really love me back? Was this real or just a dream? Days passed. He treated me the same, with respect, with care. But now he also smiled more. He sat with me during tea. He looked at my drawings. He bought me new shoes. I felt like I was waking up from a long, cold winter. But deep inside, I knew something would go wrong. The world doesn't like stories like mine. A housekeeper and a rich man. People talk, people judge, and soon someone did more than just talk. It happened on a Monday morning. I was cleaning the living room when the doorbell rang. I opened the door. I saw a woman in a red dress. She had dark lipstick and long nails. She looked rich, proud, and angry. She walked past me into the house without asking. I didn't stop her. I was confused and afraid. She sat on the sofa. She looked around the room. She asked where Mr. Daniel was. I said he wasn't home. She said her name was Victoria. She said she used to be his fiancée. I didn't know her. Mr. Daniel never talked about her. Victoria looked at me and laughed. Her eyes were cold. She said I was just the housekeeper. She said I should remember my place. Her words hurt me. I stood still. I didn't speak. I wanted her to leave. I didn't feel safe. When Mr. Daniel came home that evening, I told him about the woman. His face changed. He said she had no right to come. He said she was from the past. He told me he didn't love her anymore. He said she left him once before. She broke his heart. I listened, but stayed quiet. Her words were still in my head. I started to feel small again. I started to feel like a problem. I thought maybe this was a mistake. Maybe people like him shouldn't love people like me. After that day, I didn't smile much. I still cleaned the house. I still cooked the food. But I didn't sing while working. I didn't draw anymore. I moved slowly. I was afraid of what would come next. One morning, I went to the market to buy bread and eggs. I heard people whisper. 2 women looked at me and pointed. One of them laughed. I didn't stop to listen. I held the bag close. I walked fast. I wanted to cry. I wanted to hide. I knew they were talking about me. I was in the newspaper that week. Someone took a photo of me and Mr. Daniel at the bookstore. The title said, "The Housekeeper and the Millionaire." My face was small but clear. People knew who I was now. At home, I sat in my room. I closed the door. I looked at the floor. I felt cold and tired. I thought about leaving. I thought maybe it would be easier for him if I went away. I didn't want to be a problem. That night, Mr. Daniel came to the kitchen. He asked why I was quiet. I said I was fine. He said he didn't believe me. I told him people were laughing. I told him they said I was nothing. He looked at me. He said they were wrong. He said I was everything to him, but it was hard to believe. A few days later, he took me to the ocean. It was a quiet place with soft sand and blue water. We walked near the waves. The sun was warm. The wind was light. I felt calm there. We didn't talk for a while. Then he stopped. He looked at me. He said he loved me. He said I made his house feel like home. He said he wanted to marry me. I didn't move. My eyes filled with tears. I didn't know what to say. I'd never dreamed of this. I said yes, but my voice was soft. He smiled. He held my hands. I looked at him and started to cry. I was happy and afraid at the same time. After that, everything changed again. We told some friends. He told his family. His aunt wasn't happy. She said I wanted his money. She said it was a shame. I was quiet. I didn't want to fight. Mr. Daniel told her I wasn't after money. He said I was honest. He said he loved me. I didn't cry that day, but my heart felt heavy. I wished people could see the truth. I wished they knew my heart. We had a small wedding. It was simple and sweet. I wore a plain white dress. He wore a blue suit. We said our vows in the garden. There were only a few guests. He looked at me the whole time. After the ceremony, we sat near the flowers. He held my hand. He said we were starting a new life. I smiled. I looked at him. I still felt like I was dreaming. Now I wasn't the housekeeper. I was the wife. But the world didn't change with me. Some people still looked at me with sharp eyes. They still whispered. At a dinner party, one woman laughed. She said, "So this is the housekeeper who became the wife." I smiled, but inside I felt pain. After the party, I sat on the bed in silence. Mr. Daniel came in. He asked what was wrong. I said nothing. But he knew. He said I shouldn't listen to them. He said I had a kind heart. He said I made him happy. His words helped. But the pain stayed inside. A few weeks later, he got a job offer in another country. He asked me if I wanted to move with him. I said yes. I wanted to leave everything behind. I wanted a new start. In that place, no one would know I was once a housekeeper. No one would laugh. No one would call me names. I could be myself. I could be his wife without shame. I packed my clothes. I said goodbye to the house. It was the house where I was once the help. Now it was the house where I became someone's love. We flew away 2 weeks later. I looked out the window of the plane. The clouds were white and soft. I held his hand. I didn't know what would happen next, but I was ready. I wasn't the same girl who started as the housekeeper. I was stronger now. I had love, and I had a new life waiting for me. We moved to a new country. It was far from my old life. The city was quiet and clean. People walked slowly. The air was fresh. I didn't know anyone there. That felt good. No one knew I was once a housekeeper. No one stared. No one whispered. I was just his wife. We rented a small apartment near a park. It had white walls and big windows. There was a tree outside the bedroom. Every morning, I watched the leaves move in the wind. I made tea. I waited for Daniel to wake up. I liked the silence. It felt safe. Daniel started his new job. He was busy but happy. I stayed home and cleaned. I cooked lunch. I took walks in the afternoon. I went to the market. I spoke to people. My English wasn't perfect, but I tried. I smiled a lot. I wanted to be kind. Some days I missed my old life. Not the work, but the feeling of home. I missed my mother. I missed my little bed in my tiny room. I missed the sound of the broom on the kitchen floor. It was strange. I had more now. More money, more space, more freedom. But still, I missed something. One day, Daniel came home early. He brought paper and pencils. He said, "I saw these and thought of you." I smiled. I hadn't drawn in many months. That night, I sat at the table. I drew a flower, then a small bird. My hands moved slowly, but my heart felt light. The next morning, I looked at my drawings. They weren't perfect, but they felt true. I put one in a frame. I placed it in the kitchen. Daniel saw it when he came home. He smiled. He said, "You should do more of this." So I did. I started drawing every day. I drew trees, windows, bread on a table. I drew my mother's hands from memory. I drew the garden I once cleaned. I drew the small room where I used to sleep. I didn't forget where I came from. I carried it inside me. Later, I found a small art class near our home. I joined quietly. The teacher was kind. She spoke slowly. The other women smiled at me. They asked where I was from. I said, "A small town. I used to work as a housekeeper." They listened. One woman said, "That's honest work." I smiled. I felt seen. Weeks passed. Then months. My drawings got better. My teacher said, "You have a soft eye. People feel something when they look at your pictures." That made me happy. I showed Daniel. He said, "I always knew you were special." One day I made a big choice. I rented a small table at the weekend market. I put my best drawings in frames. I set them up early in the morning. I didn't know if anyone would stop, but they did. A girl said, "I like this one. It feels quiet." She bought it. I smiled for hours after that. Each week I sold more. I used the money to buy better pencils. I bought warm bread for dinner. I bought small gifts for Daniel. I didn't tell him where the money came from at first. Then one night he saw the coins on the counter. I said, "People bought my drawings." He looked at me. Then he hugged me tight. That night we sat near the window. He said, "You're doing something you love. I'm proud of you." I looked at the stars. I felt calm. I didn't feel like a housekeeper anymore. I didn't feel like a stranger in his world. I felt like myself. One evening, Daniel came home late. He looked tired. I made soup. We sat on the sofa. He said, "Sometimes I feel like I don't do enough for you." I looked at him. I said, "You gave me peace. You gave me space. You gave me the chance to find who I am. That's more than enough." He smiled. He kissed my hand. We stayed there for a long time. No words. Just quiet love. That winter, my mother came to visit. It was her first time on a plane. She wore a simple coat. She carried a small bag. When I saw her at the airport, I ran to her. She looked at me and cried. She said, "You look happy." I said, "I am." At home, I showed her my drawings. I showed her the market where I sold them. She was proud. She touched my cheek. She said, "You've made a new life." We cooked together. We laughed. She told me stories I'd forgotten. It felt like the world was whole again. Before she left, she said something I'll never forget. She said, "You were never just a housekeeper. You were always more. Now the world knows it too." After she flew back home, I sat by the window. I watched the wind move through the tree. I thought about the girl I used to be. The one who scrubbed floors. The one who walked quietly through halls. The one who felt small. She's still with me. But now she stands tall. I was his housekeeper. Now I'm his wife. But more than that, I'm me.